Are sort of powerful because they get us in a state of flow where we don't really have to spend extra time and energy thinking about what to do next. Because then with them, we will sort of have an algorithm of actions that we simply just have to follow, right? So when it comes to me as an individual, I'm quite an organized person. I thrive on clarity in daily life. I do not really sort of like ambiguity in my daily work routine. So during the work week, I maintain a disciplined routine, and I prefer to arrive at the office early. And because I know that the focused work accomplished before the day's chaos begins is actually invaluable, because those few hours, the first few hours of the day when your mind is fresh, it's truly precious, and you can do some immersive work that is unattainable when you're constantly being pulled in different directions, right? So, also, I'm not a multitasker, and I do not advocate that either, because only focused work can lead to great output, and multitasking is honestly the opposite of focus work. And in fact, it is nothing else but rapidly switching between tasks, and you're not even giving your 100% to one task. So it really confuses, at least my brain. I don't know about the rest, but it confuses my brain and causes me to put in a lot of much longer time than I would have in a particular task. And hence, I focused work is very important for me, and I really thrive on routine, a set routine, a disciplined routine. um, I'm also sort of old school thought, and make handwritten notes for my to-do list. And because this particular list will just help me prepare for the day. It's also, in fact, great for prioritizing tasks because you will have them in front of you all the time, and you can spot which are the ones that are top priority ones easily. Right? Of course, there are digital tools available for that, but I honestly prefer uh, making handwritten notes. So because our mind is already clogged with thousands of thoughts running around all the time, and while most of us, right, we put a lot of pressure on our minds trying to remember things, and if you try to hold many things in your mind, you will inevitably forget something or the other. At the same time,
True.
you will also unconsciously experience stress because you're trying to remember all the important stuff that you've not made a note of somewhere, and hence you're trying to recall. And I genuinely believe that your mind has to be used to think and strategize, and not to try to recall and remember things. So because, and other than the stuff, amongst other things, my to-do list will cover the most basic of things, like such as calling XYZ or sending an email to ABC. I just write it down. I just write down my ideas, my thoughts, my activities for it to get registered somewhere, so that it at least it's out of my tasks that are running in my head. And once, once I have completed the task, I experience a lot of satisfaction or a lot of joy when I just have to strike it off my list, right? That gives me a great sense of achievement, even if it is, like I said, the smallest of things. So
True.
also for the rest of time, I found it difficult to delegate. Not because I'm insecure, but because I thought that work will get done faster if I do it myself. And this I realized was not just choking up my bandwidth, but also sometimes it was, it kind of limits your growth. If you want to go to the next level, right? If you want to reach the next peak of your career, you have to learn to start delegating. And and of course, over the years I have learned it with the clear expectations from the team members. So the idea is you delegate and you monitor, right? So, and you with clear expectations when you're giving a task to somebody. So that is on basically, how sort of I plan my day, but or sort of the way that I structure my day, right? But other activities, I think that that have really helped me so far, and I continue, hopefully to follow for my future as well, and career, for career prospects as well, is that I believe in having a growth mindset. Number one, because learning from setbacks, learning from everyone else, regardless of their age, is very important for me. I do not think that I can learn only from somebody who is senior to me. I can even learn from a 5-year old. I can even learn from my teenage nieces. I can even learn from an 80-year old. So learning has to be continuous, right? And having that intellectual humility is important. So things like admitting the gaps in your knowledge will open your doors to more. It shows that you're open to growth and you're open to newer ideas. And because asking questions, for example, a lot of people hesitate to ask questions, thinking that it may make you look dumb, but in fact it means that you are listening and you are seeking clarity. It shows that you are
Right.
engaged and to understand. So also, I'm very curious about others' expertise, right? It kind of broadens my knowledge. It helps me get perspectives, right? So intellectual humility at work is not just about appearing, it's not about appearing incompetent at all. In fact, it's about facing the pressure to always have the answers. And I'm somebody who is always hunger to learn. Like, I would love to know more about the domain or the field that you have chosen, Sneha, right? For example,
Right.
and what your thoughts on are some other topics, right? Maybe I can gain or learn something in return. So in that sense, I'm selfish, but of course in a good way, right?
Yeah,
It is
that's great.
say that yeah, like you have the concept of a white lies in that sense. um, Another thing that I think has definitely or I would want to prioritize for my future growth and continue to follow is gratitude. Because that is something that always keeps me grounded and it just sets the right mood for the day. Um, it's not easy, trust me, because when you are, extremely distressed or you are down in the dumps, that is in fact the time that one should start having gratitude for at least three things that is going right for you. And it just elevates your entire life state completely. I also consume motivational content, right? Because there are a lot of podcasts available over there. One can easily pick their favorite speaker and read blogs or types of encouraging content, right? I feel it's also very important for me to keep abreast with industry, what's happening in my industry. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
just mean HR, right? I also mean within my industry, which is financial services and current affairs. Like I love to read about what's happening in my country, what's happening around the world. For example, why is the market bleeding right now? Right? It obviously has to do something with the geopolitical impact right now. Right? But how long
Right.
is it going to last? Markets are correcting right now, but how long will
Mm-hmm.
it last? What are the implications for you and me? Right? So I
Right.
don't just put it to and have horseshoe blind throughout the day, right? I have to broaden my horizon, and that will only happen when I'm eager to know more about what's happening around the world or within my own country.
Right.
Another thing that is really undervalued is reading. We don't do it often, and I also, much as I would like to, I do not really get that much time. But what I really enjoy reading is a lot of biographies and autobiographies about people who have achieved success despite all odds, right? And that I think um, really I think is my go-to sort of activity outside of work, reading about other people's stories, right? I just love doing that. How is it that they have reached so far? How is it that they have achieved so much despite everything? So um, the other thing, in fact, that I should have mentioned earlier was about taking, to be productive, and which I try to do, but I'm not able to, is to follow the. It's a very common and well, spoken and written about is a Pomodoro technique, right? I'm sure you know about it. So in the
Yeah.
Pomodoro technique, you basically do focus 25 minutes of work, and you take
Work.
5 minutes, right? So
Great.
just
Yeah.
that you take a short break so that you get back to your thinking, and
Mm-hmm.
you do it 3 times, and then you increase your work sort of timing, and
Work.
then you increase your breaks as well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
common, but how many of us actually use it? Because if you seriously use it, then it improves your focus. It will help you to prevent distractions. It prevents burnout. sometimes we are so engrossed and we are just working on something for 2 hours, not even realizing that we have not moved an inch. So it's when you you take that break, take that water cooler break, talk to somebody, and you come back, and something may just occur to you that you were not perhaps willing to look at earlier. So so I think taking frequent breaks during the day is important. Um, and last but not the least, which I think is not just for my growth in terms of my career, but otherwise also for my overall being, is being health conscious and self care. Very important. I'm mindful of my eating habits. I like to stick to a set schedule and have specific foods during the work week to support my overall well-being. Sorry, and self-care is, people do not realize the importance that one has to give to this particular aspect of your life, because it's vital not just for your health, it's vital for even is going to show in your work routine as well, right? It could be the simplest of things, like what brings you joy. Is it applying a face mask? Is it applying something else, or going for a massage, or sipping your favorite green tea, or taking a few deep breaths, reading a few pages of a book, right? Like, for me, that is, I treasure that. That is precious for me if I'm able to read a few pages of a book, or traveling. For that, you don't. I'm not talking about exotic holidays. Just going to a place which is maybe 2-3 hours from your own city. So that, I think, you owe to yourself. So prioritizing or self-loving and well-being is something that I would like to focus on more. And in all honesty, of course, I don't get to do that as often, but it is something that I would like to. Yeah.